unique selling point. They were like, you got to call them, you got to email them, you got to get in their face. That's the only way you're gonna get hired. So no, I didn't fill out a resume at all.
Respect that 1,000%. So after you got the meeting,
Yeah.
how did you convince the owners to say, I'm going to give this kid a shot?
I researched them like crazy.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. So I literally came in and I was like, they asked me questions and then I would just like add value on top. And then they asked me like, oh, what do you want to do in 5 years? And I was like, well, I actually watched your interview and you said you didn't know what you want to do in 5 years. So same answers for me. Like, I don't really know yet either. And they were like, wait, whoa, like who is this kid? I just watched their interview.
What's up, everyone? This is Joe Lemon. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Real Value Exchange. And so you just heard a quick clip from Morgan J. Ingram. Man, this is going to be a fun interview. We actually did this one live out of Atlanta right after Thanksgiving, actually. So I caught him right when he was putting his goals together, and we talked. We really broke down some of the huge ambitions he has. And if you guys aren't familiar with Morgan J. Ingram, man, he's a beast when it comes to sales training. So you guys will get a lot from this interview. We get practical. We talked about just the whole state of Atlanta culture, and we recorded this out of the legendary Patchwork Studios. So with that said, guys, I'm not going to hesitate. I want to get right into the episode. And we didn't talk about it all, but one of the things I'm working on the side that you should totally check out is SalesCulture.Work. It's this podcasting agency that we're blooming up to be this B2B production powerhouse. So I won't get into it too much here. Go to SalesCulture.Work so you can get those insights if you're interested. And with that said, let's dive into the show.
Years ago, and I never really paid attention to it, but when I found out his work, it like really intrigued me, and so that show was amazing. He announced the lineup like a day before.
Yeah.
But he had a good lineup. It was like Young Thug, Post Malone, Ray Schumer, Gunna was there, Shaq West was there, Lil Wayne was there. It was like all the people that I love. So it was awesome. So it was definitely one of the best experiences I've had from a music festival standpoint. Like, raged out, lost my Astroworld hat, broke my shades, right? I went to Astroworld and I lost some stuff, but I knew that was going to happen, so that was good.
Man, you know what? I heard that, I'm not sure if this is true either, but I heard that Travis Scott pulls out a lot of the seats.
That's the reason why I love Travis Scott so much, because of his energy. He comes out and he gives it his all, and if you watch him like in interviews and just in general, he's super chill. It's like, it resonates with me because I'm the same way. Yeah. Like, if I'm not like doing an interview, if I'm not speaking in front of people, like, I'm just chill. I'm just trying to like reserve that energy because you want to give it your all, like when you're performing. So I resonate with him that way. And he made a change, right? If you saw him in the beginning, he was rapping. He was identical to Kid Cudi. He sounded exactly like him.
Yeah.
And then he changed his entire sound, and obviously that elevated him. So when I first started speaking, Eric Thomas.
That's my guy.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, 100%.
So I used to speak exactly like him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, same thing, same intros, same outros, and obviously I didn't get very far because of that. And then I had to find my own voice, and then that's when I accelerated. So I see the same likeness that he did is the same thing as me. That's why like he's one of my favorites.
Bro, I can really get with that though, man, because when I first started podcasting almost about 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just trying to sound like Gary Vee. I was on
exactly, yeah.
I mean, because you have these people who you not so much idolize, but people that you respect, and you're like, okay, this is something that I can kind of gravitate towards as well.
Right.
But then at some point you got to realize and say, hold up, wait. I got to carve out my own niche. I got to carve out my own lane. I got to be me.
Exactly.
And that's a process, bro.
You got to figure out, there's a lot of people that you probably follow. So there's like a Gary V's, right? Like of the world. And then you have like Tom Bilyeu, who has his own podcast.
Yeah,
you got Lewis
strong.
Howes,
Yep.
right? You got all these people out there. And what happens is, you want to follow them because they have millions of followers, like The Rock, right? You want to be like, I want to be exactly like them.
Yeah.
But what you have to do is you have to take components of them that you like, integrate it in your strategy, and then be yourself. So that's hard to do. But what you have to do at first is figure out like, okay, so how do I sound when I'm talking to my friends? Like, how do I sound when I'm talking to my family members? And then have that same cadence. Because I was trying to do things that just wasn't me. Yeah. And then I changed and was like, wait, who am I? And then I realized, okay, these are my core values. This is what I stand for. And that's what helped evolve it in that way.
Yo, I love this shit already, man. This is going to be an amazing podcast.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I got to welcome you on properly, though. So I want to welcome Morgan J. Ingram on to the Sales Culture podcast, man. I love how we just kind of flowed right into it, man. And I like what you're doing online, too, though, man, especially with your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I've kind of been watching Jay Burrows for a while now because I think he just drops quality content for sales. I've been doing sales now for almost about a decade, about 8.5 to be exact. And he just, has like that real practical wisdom about, going through the sales process.
Yeah.
And so I've been watching both of you guys, And so I want to dive into your history a little bit though, because this one's is something interesting. Because especially after you talked about some of the goals you had for 2019,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna put that
saw
up.
that? You saw that?
Yeah, I saw that, bro. And then I saw harassing the hell out of you. I was like, "Yo, Jay," I was like, "Morgan, where you at, man? You free? Come through." And so we're actually doing this. We're actually doing this episode post Thanksgiving. So it's a little hectic during the holiday season.
Yeah.
But man, how are you coming up though, man? Like, because if you don't mind, just kind of giving people some insight, how you got your first sales job, how you got into the industry, maybe kind of give us some background on you first.
Yeah, so nothing too crazy or special here, and I don't want to go through a history lesson for everybody, but I'll give you quick context so you understand where I'm coming from. So I say really everything started for me when I really saw the light and elevated was my mom gave me my first personal development book when I was 16, 17 years old.
Oh.
And it was called How to Get Your Dream Job, and the author's name is Pete Leibman. And I read that book, and in reading that book, I'd read a lot of books before, and I realized, you know what, I'm just going to do everything this book says. Like, why not, right? What's the worst thing that can happen? Like, nothing, right?
Bro,
Best thing that happens is something happens.
Very true, man. And what's interesting about that, I hate to jump in really quick, but it's like a lot of 16-year-olds don't have that mentality, though.
Yeah.
A lot of 16-year-olds, at least me. I mean, I'm from me and my friends were like, look, we're going to go figure this out.
Right.
You don't have to tell me anything. I'm the only 16-year-old who's ever done it, how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Because you're bullheaded, right, or whatever. So that's pretty cool that you had that insight then.
Yeah, and so I was just like, let's do it. So I just started reaching out to executives with certain emails that literally was templated in there, and I just started reaching out.
Wow.
I got some responses, had some really good meetings.
At 16?
16, 17 years old, yeah.
Oh.
So this is like, I mean, at the beginning, it was people like locally. So it was like local, like people in the sports department, so like a VP of something. Or I know one guy I met was the athletic director, Georgia Tech College. I met with him. So it was just like these little things that I was doing, and I was like, oh, this works. And so when I got into college, I just elevated it. So I got to talk to the GM of Fox Sports South, VP of Sales at the NBA, and then also the one that I'm still to this day baffled he responded, and we actually had a conversation, was the owner of the Atlanta Hawks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which one? Because there's like a couple of them.
Bruce Levinson.
Oh, dope, man.
Yeah. So we had like a 15, 20-minute conversation. He literally was like, this is what you need to do. And I was like, what? Like, that conversation to me this day, I still have no idea why.
What did he say?
He just was like, it helped me today. He just like, hey, look, at the end of the day, like, you need to build a brand. That's going to help you stand out. And then he said, you need to like listen to everything that everyone says that's like above your position and execute on it. He's like, hey, you need to work before you get in the work, and then you need to work after. He's like, you need to have good connections. Like he said, everything that you get, like you need to invest into something, like build multiple streams. Like, and he just broke it down for me. He was like, this is what you need to do. And like, I'm in college, so I'm like, this is all information. I'm like, what am I going to do with all this? But now I understand that. And for me, like because of those conversations, I'm way more comfortable talking to really anybody. Like, I don't really care at this point because I don't know, talking to an owner of Atlanta Hawks, like that guy has more money than we all can imagine, right? Like,
especially doing that like in college, bro. I mean, like, man, that's like a power play for you though, to have that, to really just have that conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can get the wisdom from a lot of places.
Right.
Especially these days. I mean, there's tons of videos, there's tons of blog posts, tons of podcasts out there. Everybody's dropping jewels. But it's like to have that personal connection in that conversation, I'm sure had something that really resonated with you that might be a little bit different than as if you just saw it on TV or something. You know?
I think it showed me that even the most experienced and wealthy people are willing to give you knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's what it really showed me. And so, and after that, like that's when confidence really skyrocketed. And, in college, I was like doing a ton of different things. I was director of sports for an organization called Professional Entertainment Sports Association.
Cool.
It was at UGA. So I sold sponsorships there, got involved across the board. I guess for context, first thing I ever sold was Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
So I'm actually about to get back in the game soon and start selling Pokemon cards.
Are you serious?
I think I'm thinking about it. I was like, I'm gonna start doing it again. It's been a while, but I want to do it.
Why would you do it? I'm just curious.
Just for fun.
Okay.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I'm already actively selling anyways.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, let me just try to do it again. Let's see if the game has changed.
Yeah.
And I told my friends I was going to do it, and they're like, all right, we'll get involved too. So they make it a team thing.
And I'm like, there's something about just selling what you like just naturally are into and love that you would do for free or that you did for free back in the day.
Exactly.
There's something that's kind of, I don't know.
There's something to it.
There is something to it,
There's
man.
something to it. That's why.
Yeah.
So
a
when
nostalgic type of feeling, right?
Oh yeah, that's exactly why. And I saw the Pokemon cards, like let me do it again, just for fun and have a kick with it. So did all that, and then because I actually in UGA, so I went to UGA, I wanted to be a sports agent. So that was like for as soon as I got into college, that's what I wanted to do. and finance and sports management. So I double majored to get there. And basically, at the end of the day, they told me how to go to law school. And I had talked to multiple agents, and we had a ton of people that we had talked to. I knew a former NFL player at Athens that I worked at his shop, and he told me about our sports agents. We had conversations, and at the end of the day, they were like, "You got to go to law school," and I was just like, I'm not doing that. Like, it's just not happening. Like, I'm not getting in more debt. Like, I just don't want to do that.
Know yourself.
Yeah. So, like, after that, I was like, what am I going to do? So, spring semester and senior year, where most people are doing crazy stuff, they want to, get all the litness out of them, right?
Yep.
I decided to start a company. So, that company was a video game company hosting video game tournaments on college campuses.
Oh, dope.
So, we went to, like, local organizations, local shops, restaurants, fraternity sororities, hosted video game tournaments, and basically we just leveraged. I would send people in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to take screenshots of the location, and then take screenshots of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then we would come in and be like, "Hey guys, so your foot traffic looks like this on Tuesday. Your foot traffic looks like this on Saturday. Like, we can bring more people on Tuesday because the gamers are at home anyways, and we can get them in here."
Wow,
So that was our unique selling point.
That's still a good business right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it is, yeah.
Especially, I mean, like, game is major, man. It's all right. I mean, because you were doing ABM for a while, right? With
Terminus. Yeah. So the fact that I'm even with John is a crazy story in itself. So
John's a killer too, though.
He
man.
is. He's been amazing. And so how that worked is, after I just stopped doing the company, I went to the Atlanta Tech Village, which is local to Atlanta here, and then went in there. Someone told me about Terminus had funding. Cold called the director of sales. Got the interview. Basically, I'm right out of college, right? So they're like, we don't know if we want to take you or not.
Right.
Basically, sold them on. I got offered on the spot.
Wow.
Took the job, and then essentially I was the youngest person in the company, and I knew, hey, look, I have to grind harder than everybody. Basically, I got to come in hot. So hit those numbers. Started the YouTube channel, which was the SCR Chronicles. Then evolved into now, which is a podcast. And that YouTube channel and creating that content is the catalyst for where I'm at today. Because 2.5 years ago now, there was there was really no one talking about sales development as content.
Right.
I mean, everyone in the world now is. And then also there was no one actually creating brand or videos on LinkedIn for the most part. It was very, very seldom. Like, if you go back 2 years ago, there really wasn't that many people. So the fact that I was doing that was so different and it was so out there. That's why a lot of people gravitated towards it. And that helped me grow my brand to then get promoted to SDR manager, had 13 reps. And then John found one of my videos on YouTube when I got promoted. That put me on, and then he found me at an event. We had a conversation, and then 3 months later, he said, "Let's work together." And then 2 months later, I joined his team.
That's crazy, bro. So, I mean, there's a couple things I want to harp on for a second here. One, that you were fresh out of college and you were able to get a job by cold calling someone.
Yeah.
Did you also do like the whole resume process as well, or did you just go in cold?
So based on all the other conversations I had in college and the books I read, they all told me don't fill out a resume.
Yeah.
They're like, don't even do that. They said be unique, like show up to the office, call them, like send an email to them. They were like, they would show me like people that were hiring like the VPs and stuff. They were like, yeah, we have like 5,000 resumes just sitting here. And like the fact I'm not going through all of them. My assistant may go through a couple, but like that's not going to be the unique selling point. They were like, you got to call them, you got to email them, you got to get in their face. That's the only way you're going to get hired. So no, I didn't fill out a resume at all.
Respect that 1,000%. So after you got the meeting,
yeah,
how did you convince the owners to say, I'm going to give this kid a shot?
I researched them like crazy.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. So I literally came in and I was like, they asked me questions and then I would just like add value on top of that. I'm like, hey, yeah, I saw your interview. Like I'd watched their interviews before. I was like, yeah, I saw an interview and you said this. And then they asked me like, oh, what do you want to do in 5 years? And I was like, well, I actually watched your interview and you said you didn't know what you want to do in 5 years. So same answer is for me. Like, I don't really know yet either. And they were like, wait, whoa, like who is this kid? I just watched their interviews. I watched all the videos from the website. I read the blog posts. I read the job description. And I just basically was like, here, this is what I think. This is where this is going. Mm-hmm. And I gave them those accurate statements. And that's what really helped me get that job because they saw that I actually did the research, which even when I was interviewing like people that were coming in our company, that I was so shocked when people didn't do the research. Like people would just go through the motions. Like I just really don't understand how people do that.
Man,
like, it baffles me. It's like you're coming here to get an interview and you're not just going to go on the website and get like a couple nuggets.
People do it every day too, though. People talk about a lot of times that they don't see a direct correlation between doing this branding, this like soft type of approach through podcasting, blog writing, they don't see those line up with hard numbers.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? A lot of times I tell them, it's like, man, I feel like it's a lot like playing the actual stock market.
Yeah.
You have to be in it though,
Right.
because one day it's going to hit.
Yeah.
If you're not in it, you're definitely not going to hit.
Right.
You know, I'm not saying it's going to it's not going to have a direct sale as soon as you post that, you know, but if you stay in the game for a year, all it takes is one good handshake, one good interview, and then you're on, off to the races, man.
Exactly.
I think that's super dope that you're doing that though, man. So, all right, tell me about where you are now though, man, because you guys are doing some crazy work. I mean, you're traveling around and you're training people now, right?
Yes.
Talk about that process a little bit.
Yeah. So essentially what I'm doing now is I'm focusing on the prospecting, so top of the funnel, lead gen aspect. So everything that I did at Terminus, everything I'm doing now, all the people I've interviewed, I'm teaching people those tactics and those strategies, and then there's live application. So what we've realized is that a lot of people just don't know how to break into accounts. They don't know how to prospect. They don't know how to make calls. They know how to sell, but they don't know how to do that process. So that's one point that I'm coming in and I'm teaching like salespeople how to do that. And so that's why I travel a lot, because I go on site to those companies.
What do you think the biggest struggle is that you're seeing with a lot of these companies that are trying to break into these other accounts? And, I mean, when you're going around training people, what do you think the biggest hurdle for most of these people are, if you would give some advice?
I would say it's messaging, and then there's no process. So because most people's product is really good, so it's easy. So an example is like, let's say a grocery store, right? Like you don't really need to market those cashiers don't need to sell you on what you need to buy. Like I need bread, like I need milk, I need orange juice.
I'm coming in.
I gotta come in. There's no process to get me to come. I have to get these things, right? It's the same thing in the market. Like if a product's really good and you need it, then there doesn't really need to be a process, because people are gonna come anyways. So what ends up happening is people that have a ton of inbounds or their process is really good, their outbound team is not as good because they didn't really need that process in the first place. So that's what I see is like the process or the messaging is broken because they really haven't need to fine tune that, because they're just getting meetings anyways. And so if you're getting results, like why would you change it? And that's the big thing that a lot of people face.
Yeah, I mean, but I can see how it's so easy to just kind of get into that whole, routine of just kind of doing the same things, because maybe you had a couple big wins because you have an awesome product, and if you don't have a great product, you're going to get pretty much exposed either way.
Right.
So that's not going to sell, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so if you start building those bad habits of not doing the work up front, people won't come through the door.
Exactly.
What's the main industries that you guys work with? Are you guys all across the board? Or is there a certain
it's all across. I mean, it's all across the board. Like we've gone in, manufacturing. We worked with people that are in completely different industries.
Interesting.
Oil and gas, but I mean that's a whole different sell. And I'm personally for next year more intrigued to work with people in those abstract industries, because it challenges me to learn more and for understanding. Like first, because we mostly work with SaaS to answer your question. Mm-hmm. So like a Salesforce, like a Google, right? Like a Tableau. But those companies, like at the end of the day, it's like the SaaS technology is all a big bubble. So we all live in this bubble of like, this is where we're at. But for me, there's so much stuff outside of that is going on. Like there's a ton of stuff that, locally like Georgia Pacific is doing, right? They're evolving and they're trying to innovate, even though they're $1 billion company. Like Coca-Cola is the same way. So like Home Depot. So it's like, those are companies I like to work with, that I'm trying to work with, because I want to understand a whole aspect of business that I have not even been exposed to. But we mostly work in SaaS because they are trying to be innovative and continuously push the envelope.
Man, you know what's interesting about that? So I'm currently working in like healthcare, right?
Yeah.
I sell medical devices like hospitals and sports teams and those type of people. And the process is that I've been trying to implement. I've been stealing from you and Jay. I mean, honestly. And it's one of those things where I'm bringing it to them. They're like, wow, we never thought about that. I'm like, you guys never thought about blogging?
Exactly.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's so old school.
Because they're stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
And especially in healthcare, where it's like now we're just going to start looking at trying to implement a lot of basic business practices into healthcare.
Yeah.
Because that's where it's going now. Like in the past, everything was all insurance based. But what we're seeing now is a shift that people are willing to pay cash for certain services. So lots of these doctors, lots of these devices have to start marketing themselves just like the Googles, just like any other, basic business practices that they haven't implemented before. And this is a new thing for them. So you guys will probably hit some home runs in that industry for sure.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right, man. So, all right, we already started leaning into next year a little bit, man. Talk about some of your plans for next year, man.
All right, I got big plans.
Yeah.
So pretty much every year, I'm the most aggressive goal setter of all time.
Okay.
So I'll say things that people think they're outlandish, but because I don't know, people are starting to believe me now. So I'm like, wait, hold up, like, that's good. But like, I'm like, I say some pretty crazy stuff. So for me, one big goal that I have, it may not happen in 2019, but it is a 2019 staple goal, is to be the first professional speaker, sales trainer to ever be sponsored by Stance Socks. So if you guys haven't seen Stance Socks, like they sponsor Klay Thompson, they have Dwayne Wade, a couple people of that nature. I think they're James Harden as well. So they're like a sock brand and they're blowing up. But they do not have a professional speaker. And I don't think a professional speaker or a sales trainer has ever been sponsored by any like sock brand or anything of that nature. So I'm trying to get that. So I'm going to continue to blow them up, and I'm going to continue to be on the radar. But that's like one of my big goals. Another one is to do. So we have like on-site trainings that we're like basically have to go do. I want to go do 100 of those next year.
Okay.
So I'm trying to be the biggest travel warrior of all time. So you can see the Instagram. If you follow me, you're going to see a lot of travel. That's what I'm trying to do.
You aren't going to be home at all next year, man.
Might not be. but the thing is, like, it's the short term, long term. Like, you know, sometimes you got to do stuff like right now that may seem like ridiculous, but for the long term, like, this is what I have to do right now. So like, that's why I'm committed to it and grounded in it. And then additionally, I want to be able to at least visit 5 to 7 countries. That's not for pleasure. That's for work. So basically, I can go travel globally to go train any team. So I was in Amsterdam, India this year. So I'm trying to go to more, and that's one of my goals. So those are things that I'm like currently focused on, and like that's what I'm trying to do. And you know, I'm just trying to impact as many people as possible. And another big one is I'm trying to like prospect, close, and then go deliver a training for like a Fortune 500 company. That like I had like no contact at all. Like I got in there, they liked my message, and I delivered it in as well. So like those are my goals, and I'm very like locked in on it. Like this week has been all strategy. Like I have like documents everywhere, and like I've been like jacked up this entire week, and people are like, "Oh, you're gonna take a break?" And I'm like, "No, I'm actually have more energy now than ever before because of like what I see is possible." So there's a couple goals though.
How do you keep your actual zeal for just life with like trying to manage some of these massive goals?
Yeah,
I mean, because I think a lot of times. I see a lot of people. They have massive goals and like, all right, man, I'm in. And you know how it is.
Yeah.
I was like a personal trainer for almost like 7-8 years maybe. Okay. And so people come in January 1, the gym's flooded.
Yeah, they're flooded. Yeah,
you know, flooded. Everybody's there. Yeah. Mother drop 100 pounds. So like, all right, let's do it.
Right.
Come around March.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe 20's cool this year. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, so how do you kind of maintain some of that zeal for it, man?
I think I'm already just jacked up and fired up as well. But I think the big thing is because I have this massive goal that I like write down everywhere. And so my big one is to be the best motivator of all time. So because of that goal, and I've already set it, like I'm pretty much obligated to continue work, and it makes me fired up because like that's such a big goal that I can't really slack on the other goals that I make. So that's just kind of like a psychological thing that I've like psyched myself into myself. Like I have to be motivated. But I think another thing is just like when I say a goal out loud, like now I'm on notice. And like that's why I do it, because it forces me to be like, wait, yeah, I said that. Like I may have only gotten like 30 likes, but probably 2,000, 3,000 people probably saw it. They didn't say anything. Now they're watching. So like that's pretty much why I do it, because it now is an obligation that like I have to go do this, because now people are expected to see that result.
I love it, man. You know what, man? We are about to wrap it up, man. And, you know, I think this whole idea with, like, that you're trying to do with Stance Socks is so I think the timing of it is just, like, it's perfect, though.
Right.
I mean, because, never before have I seen business people are interested in business people.
Right.
And it's, like, sexy, too, though. It's not how it used to be. Like, oh, this is dry. This is a business podcast.
Right.
We started talking about Travis Scott.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I think it's the perfect timing for this type of movement, though, man.
Yeah.
So, dude, I wish you much success next year, man. But please tell everybody how to find you and your actual YouTube channel.
Yeah, so very simple. It's just Morgan J. Ingram, and that's on Instagram, that's on Twitter, and also on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I'm very responsive. And then the YouTube channel podcast is the SDR Chronicles.
Dude, I really appreciate this whole timing of it. I'm glad we got this in at Patchwork, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been perfect.